You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, a man convicted of a double homicide in Missouri learns his fate.
Also, authorities continue the search for a missing doctor in southwest Missouri. We have the latest.
Let's take a look at the forecast. We're going to start off with radar right now. We have some showers and storms way off in the Texas Panhandle, now starting to move into parts of western Oklahoma. So if you're traveling down I-44 and I-40, we're going to see those scattered showers this afternoon. But I'll be back in a minute to tell you about our local weekend holiday forecast, so stick around for that.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Carrie Worthen. The search continues in southwest Missouri for a missing doctor. 49-year-old John Forces, an ER doctor at the hospital in Cassville, has been missing since Sunday morning. His car was found unlocked with the keys in it. As Liam Garrity reports, Dr. Forces' brother says the whole family is shocked at this apparently random act.
Somehow he sees this. What would you want to say to him?
I'd say that we love you and we miss you, and if you're gone because of good reasons, we understand, but we want to see you soon.
Dr. John Forsyth was last seen Sunday morning leaving his shift here at Mercy Hospital in Cassville.
People worried about how much he worked, but he always told me he loved it, and the reason he loved it was because he was helping people, and he was very passionate about it.
His brother, Richard Forsyth, says they grew up in Canada, came to Missouri for school, and now call it home.
He's never missed a day of work in his life. If he had a broken leg, he'd show up for work.
Cassville police say searchers scoured 90 acres on Tuesday. There were 36 people searching between 13 different agencies. Not one piece of evidence was found. Dr. Forsyth, pictured here, is 5'11", with brown hair, blue eyes, and weighs 180 pounds.
Currently no facts to suggest foul play or abduction, but his being missing is beyond bizarre.
Police searched his RV and believe he was there for a short time before he left. Investigators say they used search teams, dogs, and heat signature drones. Richard says time is of the essence.
We've actually had a number of extremely helpful tips come in the last few days, potential sightings of him that we're trying to confirm. If anyone has seen him or may know anything about why he could be missing, we would love to hear it.
If you know anything, call 911. The family has up a Facebook page and place of email tips. The email address is on your screen, findjohn2023@gmail.com. Now we'll go to Sam Lane in the Weather Center.
All right, thank you very much, Carrie. It's been a beautiful day across the 4 states so far, and it's probably going to stay that way through most of the weekend. We do have some storms, though, on radar out towards the west in western Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle, but they've been needing the rain for quite some time as the drought has been ongoing there too. Flash flood warnings, in fact, for parts just south of Amarillo. No flash flood warnings in our forecast, at least in the short term. Temperatures instead are going to rise through the 70s, close to 80 degrees by this afternoon under part of cloudy skies. And looking down the lane, we're going to continue with warm afternoons, some cool to mild nights, low storm chances for the weekend, and a gradual warming trend. And of course, I'll tell you all about that and what that means in our forecast coming up in just a little while. Carrie?
Thanks, Sam. The suspect in a Avila, Missouri double homicide learns his sentence. Authorities say Kevin Johnson shot and killed Mason McClure and Nicole Hodgins in February of 2021. Johnson admits he killed them both, claiming they killed his girlfriend, Briley O'Bannon. Johnson pleaded guilty of 2 counts of second-degree murder. He is sentenced to 28 years in prison for each count, but they will run at the same time. About 60 people were awarded their U.S. citizenship during a naturalization ceremony at George Washington Carver National Monument. People from 29 countries attended naturalization ceremony on Thursday. Several family members attended the event to celebrate the big day for their loved ones. New citizens say the process can take several years. Their advice for people wanting to apply is to never give up.
Whenever you have a goal and it's going to look like it's tough and you can't reach it, it's going to be tough. The work that you need to do is more work than you think in your head. It requires much more work and effort, but as long as you do it, you will get to it. The feeling you get when you accomplish, nothing compares to it. So if you have a goal and it's a legit goal, go for it.
Federal court officials with the Western District of Missouri officials say this year they will have a total of 3 naturalization ceremonies. The Missouri-Kansas-Texas Railroad ran through Parsons, Kansas in 1870, also known as Katy. It was the beginning of the town. Katy Days in Parsons, Kansas began in the year 2000. The festival celebrates the community with a weekend full of events, food, and music.
Well, I'm a Katy kid. My dad worked for the railroad, my grandfather and both of my uncles worked for the railroad, so I have Katy in my blood too, and it's just exciting to see people who come back just for this.
I've attended since the first Katy Days happened. I've been a food vendor at Katy Days for, I think, 12 years, and so I attend every year as a vendor.
Katy Days is free to the public and starts tonight with a parade around Forest Park in Parsons, Kansas. A Kansas organization held a summit in Pittsburgh aimed at addressing food insecurity. Kansas Appleseed Advocates for Kansas to work together to find solutions to problems. Thursday's summit focused on hunger and the high cost of groceries. Community leaders discussed ways to increase food access in southeast Kansas.
There's so many fantastic leaders in the community in that room that it makes me feel very optimistic. These are all very talented and hardworking people with great ideas, and I think working together we can really combat this food insecurity issue.
The free summit was held at Pittsburgh Public Library. Up next, summertime means more kids on bikes, and that can mean more bicycle-related injuries. We got advice from the experts on how you can find the right helmet for your child.
And later, fear of crime has some people looking for a dog with more bite than bark. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
In Health Watch this morning, the oral antiviral pill Paxlovid now has full official approval from the FDA to treat COVID-19 in adults. The medicine is for mild to moderate cases in high-risk patients and has been widely prescribed for more than a year under emergency use authorization. There's new evidence that diet could affect risk for contracting HPV, the virus that leads to cervical cancer. Researchers in Louisiana found that women who do not eat fruits, green vegetables, and beans were at higher risk of HPV infection. Those foods have 4 key antioxidants that may reduce HPV risk. And exercising in the afternoon could help lower blood sugar for people with type 2 diabetes. A study from Brigham and Women's Hospital tracked more than 2,000 people and found the greatest improvement in glucose control among those active in the afternoon. Researchers say more needs to be done to understand why. Every year in the U.S., around 100 children are killed and more than 250,000 are injured in bicycle-related accidents, according to Stanford Medicine. Helmets can help protect against serious brain and head injuries, but they have to fit properly. Mandy Gathers has more on how to know you have the right helmet for your child.
As the weather gets warmer, riding scooters or bikes can help keep kids active. But to keep them safe, helmets need to be worn every time.
Wearing a helmet can reduce your risk to injury up to 85%.
But it needs to be the right helmet. The CDC says to look for one with labels that have the date of manufacture, helpful in case the helmet is recalled. And it should also have a label saying it's certified by the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission. If you buy a used helmet, make sure it's not broken, scratched, or cracked.
They're only built for one crash, so once it gets indented, it's time to get a new one.
Pediatrician Richard So with Cleveland Clinic says the helmet also needs to fit properly and shouldn't ride too far back on the child's head.
The helmet should be down, and the tip of the helmet should be at least 1 or 2 finger breadths above the eyebrows. And it shouldn't rock 1 inch forward to back or 1 inch to sideways.
So says the chin strap should fit snug with room enough for a finger. And he says parents need to set good examples by wearing their helmets too.
No helmet, no bike. I think that's the rule that should be in all houses.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Health experts also say helmets should be stored in a place that doesn't get too hot or too cold, and it isn't in direct sunlight. And check with the helmet manufacturer before decorating the helmet with something like stickers, as this may impact the helmet's safety.
We have beautiful skies out there this morning across southwestern Missouri and southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, and northwest Arkansas. Is that going to continue? Well, I'll have the complete holiday weekend forecast, travel forecast as well when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's a beautiful morning shaping up across the area, including Seneca, Missouri, with the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Just a few clouds off in the distance, but that's about it. We're still dealing with the drought, though, especially in southeastern Kansas. The drought map got updated yesterday, and you can see the dryness is now starting to extend back into western parts of Missouri. We really need some rainfall to put a dent in the drought situation, but it doesn't look like we're going to see any over the weekend. In fact, let's take a look at the radar right now. All the rain is out in the Texas Panhandle, now starting to move into western Oklahoma. So if you're traveling today down I-44, once you get to about Oklahoma City and points west, that's when the roadways will start to get a little bit wet. You can see some flash flood warnings, in fact, for some parts of Texas south of Amarillo. You can see a bigger cluster of storms there in eastern New Mexico and west Texas. Also a cluster of storms in southwestern Nebraska. Here we just have a few high clouds spilling over from that activity. Temperatures this morning are generally in the 50s and 60s. 57 in Stockton right now for one of the coolest readings. 62 in Pittsburgh. 62 also in Parsons. Meanwhile, it's 59 for our friends over in Sedan. This afternoon, we're going to see partly cloudy skies, lots of sunshine, maybe an isolated storm or two, very, very isolated, with temperatures rising through the 70s, about 77 at lunch, 79 for your afternoon high, and then dropping down into the 70s as we head towards the evening. Severe weather is going to be out towards the west, way out to the west, northeastern Colorado up through northeastern Wyoming, and also eastern parts of New Mexico and far western Texas, where they are getting a helping of some rainfall, helping with their drought situation out there. Meanwhile, here, rain chances are going to be low for at least the next 36 hours. But then as we head towards Memorial Day, we might see a storm or two. Temperatures this afternoon, like I said, are going to be in the upper 70s to right around 80 degrees. A very isolated storm or two is possible. Then as we go through Saturday morning, lows in the lower 50s, mid-50s out towards the west. And then in the afternoon, temperatures rising into the upper 70s to around 80 degrees. And on Sunday morning, we'll see lows once again in the 50s. And then as we head into Sunday afternoon, looking pretty good with highs in the low 80s. And then Monday morning, mild with southeasterly winds and lows near 60. Over the next 7 days, we're going to see the chance of storms come back on Monday, isolated in nature, better chance of storms on Wednesday and Thursday. And then as we head towards next weekend, yet another round of storms are going to be possible. All right, business is booming for guard dogs. Fear of crime is fueling a huge demand for personal protection animals. William LaHunce takes a look.
People don't feel safe anymore. So I'm giving a solution that you don't have to kill somebody. You don't have to use a gun. Just, have peace of mind. You have a protection dog.
Man's best friends are upping their game.
Your alarm system is great, right? It can let you know that there's a threat outside, but it won't engage in that threat itself. Protection dogs are ready to go at any given time.
With crime up double digits in major cities, many are turning to trainers like Delta Canine in North Hollywood.
Right now I'm short on dogs because there is so much demand.
Demand for high-end puppies and fully trained protection dogs.
Search.
Me not being at home all the time, having this, I know that my family is safe.
Bobby took Coda home as a puppy, but returns twice a week for protection training.
You can't just get a dog that's trained. The dog knows everything, but you have to actually learn that as well. Just like gun safety, you have to learn how to handle a dog because it's a weapon.
Take Dexter, taught to intimidate or bite, release,
I'm say sorry,
even apologize. Prices range from several $1,000s to $150,000 for a fully trained personal protection dog delivered to your door. Owners say it's worth it.
I'm a real estate agent, and sometimes I'm alone at houses, so having a protection dog means everything to me.
They're a protection and they're also a companion. You feel safe. They come, they cuddle you, you give them kisses. It's best of both worlds.
So that's a lot of money, and most people don't need a top-level executive protection dog with that kind of training, but some do because of who they are and what they do. Many we meet will get a puppy based on breed, pedigree, and temperament, and then attend weekly training based on their individual needs. All right, we will have more on the news and weather when we come back from the break, so stay with us.
On Thursday, about 60 people in Missouri earned their U.S. citizenship during a naturalization ceremony at George Washington Carver National Monument.
KOAM's Jana Hatala attended the ceremony and talked with the excited new citizens.
Nearly 60 individuals from 29 different countries are getting their hard work paid off today as they are becoming U.S. citizens at their naturalization ceremony here at the George Washington Carver National Monument.
I am from India.
The position that we have as immigrants coming over to the United States and being able to share what we know from another country and able to bring more color and diversity in the United States, it's a pleasure.
Sue Ann Williams is accompanied with her loved ones, one of them being her sister, who brought her to the United States when she was a newborn.
I grew up saying the Pledge of Allegiance when I would go to school of the United States of America. I grew up being proud of the American flag and growing up in the American culture. And my mother had sat me down and she explained that I was not really born here. And it really touched my heart, and I cried because I wanted to be that American that I had grown up in, that culture.
New citizens are relieved on this day. They have put a lot of work and effort for. It took Sue Ann 12 years to get to this point.
It's the relief to the point that I want to cry, but I don't want to mess up my makeup. So it's a burden of being able to now officially be a part of the country that I've always been patriotic for.
And they have advice for someone who may consider applying.
The work that you need to do is more work than you think in your head. It requires much more work and effort, but as long as you do it, you will get to it. The feeling you get when you accomplish, nothing compares to it.
In Diamond, Janna Haudala, KOAM News.
Officials with the federal court for the Western District of Missouri say this year they will have a total of 3 naturalization ceremonies.
And after the ceremony, citizens can fill paperwork out for passports and their Social Security cards.
That's awesome. All right, well, we'll be right back after this.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:27. You know it's summertime when the Yates Center Day celebration kicks off in Woodson County, Kansas. The event used to take place in and around the historical square in all the buildings, but now it's limited to the old county jail and sometimes the historical courthouse. It's not just the venue that's different, but the time of year also. The festival used to take place earlier in the month of May, but the weather over the years pushed the event into the summer.
To begin with, it was earlier on in May. I've heard they wore their parkas one year, so they moved it to Memorial Day weekend at some point. And yeah, it's just taken on a little bit of a different feel every single year, but that's kind of part of it.
Yates Center Days kicks off today and runs through Monday. On Thursday, Peace Church in Joplin held special Memorial Day ceremonies to honor veterans buried at Peace Church Cemetery. The veterans who passed service our country for 5 wars, including the Civil War, Spanish-American War, World Wars I and II, and the Korean War. American Legion Post 13 helped with Thursday's ceremony by planting American flags among other ceremonies.
I think every veteran deserves that respect. They gave their life for their country at some point in time, or if they didn't die in combat, at least they were willing to put their life on the line for that. And I think we need to honor that.
That have gone on before us and that have sacrificed their lives, and we want to honor them for the patriotism that they give to this country, because without them, we wouldn't be where we're at today. We wouldn't be a free country.
Volunteers will be at Peace Church this weekend to help visitors and find burial sites. Peace Church officials say volunteers are always needed. Just call ahead or visit the church at 3311 North Peace Church Road. Joplin Area Habitat for Humanity celebrated the completion of 4 new homes for families in need. One of the homes used insulated concrete forms as the walls, which helps protect it in event of severe weather. Habitat for Humanity partnered with the Joplin Economic Housing Development Initiative to build the homes.
I think it's a really awesome program that I hope everybody gets to learn about if they don't know about it, because you get to help out with the community and hopefully just get a place of your own.
In total, Habitat for Humanity and the Housing Development Initiative have constructed 186 homes for families in need. Southeast Kansas nonprofit 100 People Who Care held a networking event in Pittsburgh for local organizations. The event had a goal of recognizing a single organization with $10,000 donated by fellow nonprofits. Organizers say they hope this event could do some good for the community.
This is a platform for nonprofits to be able to get their word out, to talk about what their organization is doing. There's so many nonprofits in Southeast Kansas, and we know that the last few years have been hard on them. So this is an opportunity to be able to get out, get in front of people, and connect and get their mission heard.
Officials asked 100 organizations to each donate $100. Now we'll go to meteorologist Sam Lane with a look at your forecast.
All right, thank you very much, Carrie. It's a beautiful day across the 4 states right now. There is some rain on the radar, but it's way out to the west in western Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle, where flash flood warnings are developing just south and west of Amarillo. So if you're traveling today down I-44 and eventually on I-40 west of Oklahoma City, you might run into some showers and thunderstorms. But here locally, we're going to be looking under partly cloudy skies with temperatures rising into the 70s to around 80 degrees by this afternoon, so we'll call it warm. And looking down the lane, we have some warm days and some warm afternoons coming up, some mild nights, low storm chances, and a gradual warming trend. And of course, I'll tell you more about that in just a little bit. Carrie?
Thanks, Sam. Painting can be therapeutic and improve memory. KOAM's Amber Jenkins spoke to painters who use art to remember.
The Spiva Center for the Arts hosts a weekly free painting class called Memories in the Making. This class focuses on helping those who struggle with memory loss.
The idea is to try to remember stuff from the past. And people say, well, how do you remember that? And like some people say, well, you should have a photographic memory and all that, but that's, to me, it's nonsense.
Jesse McCormick has been helping people with memory loss by letting them paint for over 20 years. He does allow students to pick what they want to paint, but he recommends painting sceneries to improve memory.
You can remember what the sky looked like, what clouds look like, not specifically, but enough that you can recreate it. So it's recreation rather than remembering.
Yes, Jesse's cool. Jesse and I go way back. We met a long time ago, years ago.
Camilla first started going to these classes back in 2013 with her mom, who had Alzheimer's. Now her mom isn't with us anymore, but Camilla still goes to these classes to paint and reminisce with times that she bonded with her mom.
So that time was precious, time I would never get back. So yeah, I definitely look back on those 2 or 3 years.
Painting isn't the only thing Camilla does artistically. She also made sculptures by commission.
Painting is secondary to what I actually do, which is sculpture. I do animal sculpture, realistic animal sculpture.
Memories in the Making allows anyone who might be struggling with memory loss a safe and peaceful space to paint and chat. The teacher, McCormick, reminds the students to give themselves grace and stay positive if you don't remember something. Staying positive keeps you young and sharp.
Really true, I think, just from my own experience. And to some degree, we're like that all through our lives, rather than just as little kids. There's just always that little kid that's still in us, going, ah.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Anyone is welcome to attend, free of charge and no appointment needed. Memories in the Making is held every Thursday at noon in the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Center. That's a look at our top news stories coming up on this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. If it's Friday, you know what that means. It means we've got KOAM's Shannon Becker in the studio with his big 3 stories of the week.
It also means we have some fair skies out there this morning, just a few clouds here and there. I'll be back with your Friday forecast as well as your holiday weekend travel forecast when we come back.
Welcome back. We've got Shannon Becker in the studio with us to help us close out the week with his big 3 stories of the week. Welcome back, Shannon.
All right, live and local. Let's talk about it. Number 3 this week, Joplin News First. Yesterday, Governor Parson made a visit to Neosho. They are one of the up-and-coming manufacturers in Neosho, big employer, Black Rain Ordnance. They manufacture firearms, mostly for law enforcement. Governor Parson went to visit, check out their facility. They had just simply invited him to come, and they surprised him with a gift. They made a special rifle just for him. It's called Team 57. One of a kind. It's got the arch on one side, the Capitol on the other, the names of all Missouri's governors. He's number 57.
I love that guy.
That's why they call it 57. He was really surprised, genuinely, you could tell. And he said it's something he'll definitely cherish. It was a nice visit. I know a lot of people really enjoyed seeing that story. So check it out if you haven't seen it on our website. Our number 2 story, Joplin News First, live and local breaking news. It was 12 years ago this week that a tornado killed 158 people that day. So the Joplin Memorial Run, it was the 12th running of the running of, I think it's like it would be the 11th, wouldn't it? Because we didn't do that first year.
Right.
So we hosted a water and Gatorade spot at Joplin Church of Christ. We had some of our people here at the station ran the 5K. One of our people ran the half marathon. Brooke Arnold did. So
she's a runner though.
Oh
so
yeah, make you sick.
Yeah, she's just.
I only run when they say dinner. But
Are you getting chased?
Yeah, I've been chased by police. So thanks so much to Joplin Church of Christ at 26th in Connecticut for allowing us to do that again this year. Our number 1 story. If you've seen it online, it was a tragedy this last weekend. A man testing a race car was killed in Asbury. It was on Main Street, a car that was equipped with a roll cage, but not yet with a 5-point harness. So they were still working it and tweaking it. He hit a utility pole and then a tree, pronounced deceased on the scene there. It was a very tragic scene. And, you know, family close by, lived on the street right there.
No, yeah.
So definitely touching that community very deeply.
And he was just testing the car.
Yep, just test driving. That's right. More details on our website, KOAM News Now. And then a feel-good story is our bonus story. We've been talking about a lot this morning. It was naturalization swearing in yesterday for 56 U.S. citizens. It was really neat because they stood up, each one of them, they'd say their name and say what country they're from. I mean, so many different countries. I should have made a list. But different people were cheering for different countries, and their families were there. It was at Carver Monument. Thomas Jefferson sang. The ROTC from Joplin High School presented the colors, and then they did their oath. Yeah, there were a lot of tears, but there was a lot of laughter, and it was really moving. I mentioned it earlier, but you know, when all these celebrities are like, I'm going to Canada, you know, or whatever like that. Like these people, you know, one of our friends, Gary, who works at the station, he said, I bet we couldn't pass that test. You know?
I know,
right? They
I know.
study to be Americans.
You got to think, they study, and we probably don't even, like, we're born here. We don't have to know that stuff.
So it was really, really neat. They do that every couple of years at Carver. So thanks for hosting that. It's our big 3 and then bonus, KOAM News Now, Joplin News First.
Well, thank you for coming here today. It was
good.
Yeah, it's good seeing you.
Of course. All right, you be
stories.
good.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
All right.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
All right, welcome back to the KOM Morning News on Fox 14. Beautiful sunrise across the area, including Seneca, Missouri, at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. We're expecting mostly fair skies through the afternoon. Unfortunately, that means the drought is not going to really be helped because we do not have a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity in the forecast. And it's been really ongoing for southeastern Kansas for quite some time. And unfortunately, it's now starting to spread into parts of southwestern parts of Missouri. Radar right now does show some storm activity, but it's way out to the west in the Texas Panhandle. Big cluster of thunderstorms in Amarillo and Lubbock, and also in southwestern Nebraska. But it's falling apart as it moves towards the east, towards us. Instead, we're just left with mostly fair skies. Temperatures in the 60s right now, 64 in Nevada, 65 in Chanute right now, 60 in Sedan and Nowata. This afternoon, we're going to see partly cloudy skies, just a few puffy cumulus clouds out there, with highs in the upper 70s to right around 80 degrees. And the severe weather risk is really not going to be impacting us. It's going to be way out to the west in the high plains, where it has been for the last several days and will continue to do so. Rain chances are going to be basically around 0 for the next 36 hours. We're going to be seeing temperatures today rising into the 70s to around 80 degrees, maybe an isolated storm or two, but don't count on it, as we're going to see mostly fair skies. And then tonight we're going to see lows dropping down into the low 50s, mid 50s out towards the west. Then tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, continuing with highs around 80 degrees. And then as we go into Sunday morning, we're going to see lows in the mid 50s across the area. How about the next 7 days? Well, next chance of storms starts in on Monday, Memorial Day, with a 20% chance, bigger chance of storms on Wednesday and Thursday. Carrie?
All right, in Consumer Watch this morning, starting next year, Ford electric vehicle drivers will have access to about 12,000 of Tesla charging stations in the U.S. and Canada. The heads of the two companies announced the deal in a Twitter Spaces chat yesterday. Ford chief Jim Farley said that while current Ford owners will have to get a Tesla adapter to use them, new Fords will be manufactured with Tesla's standard charging connector starting in 2025. Tesla CEO Elon Musk added that Ford owners will eventually be able to access Tesla's chargers through Ford's app. Virgin Galactica just took one giant leap towards space tourism. Its space lane Unity completed a final test flight yesterday, taking off from New Mexico nearly 2 years after the company's last crewed flight. 2 pilots and 4 company astronauts were on board. Virgin Galactica now hopes to begin taking paid customers up on its suborbital flights starting in June. And millions of Americans are expected to travel this weekend as the nation observes Memorial Day. AAA says if you're looking to hit the roads, you may want to avoid leaving on Friday and instead travel on Saturday or Sunday when the roads should be less crowded. Those of you catching flights may also want to pack your patience. AAA predicts airports could be at their busiest in nearly 20 years. We'll be right back with more after this, but first let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. With summer around the corner, it's time to get out those swimming suits and jump in the pool.
That's right. Here's Jeannie Moos on the Pooch, who's taking dog paddling to new heights.
Think of him as a pool puppy. Thor, the Boston Terrier, loves swimming so much, he got his own indoor pool.
He loves to jump. That's like his favorite thing to do would be to like jump in the pool.
Boston Terriers are not natural swimmers, but Thor started young, plunging into lakes in British Columbia, Canada, wearing a life jacket. Soon he graduated to his own outdoor pool. Even though he hates to be out in the rain, he eats it up when he's in the pool. But owner Lisa Mazurek says it was always sad when outdoor swimming season came to an end, so she and her partner converted an old garage into a pool house for a pup. This was his first dip. Now he swims at least twice a day, squeaking every time he jumps in.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Always swimming in circles. And how many laps can he do?
Roughly about like 300 laps when he's out there.
Occasionally he uses his duck floaty. He's got his own Thor towel. Why do they spoil him?
Because of that face.
Though Thor doesn't know it, he has an audience most evenings at 7.
We'll go live on TikTok because people, for some reason, really love to watch him swim.
How many dogs would make this choice?
Bacon? Or the pool? No, the bacon. For the pool.
But this is a dog that can swim and chew bacon at the same time.
Do you want the bacon in the pool?
Jeannie Moos, CNN, New York.
Level up.
That's a great story.
That dog is living his best life. I mean, eating
Exactly.
food while you're swimming in a pool, that's just...
Bacon of all things,
Yeah,
too.
I mean, I would be happy. Yes.
It's going to be pool-like weather if you like temperatures in the 80s, and we're going to be seeing summer-like conditions as we head through the forecast. But first, let's take a look outside right now. You can see the forecast this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies with highs in the upper 70s to right around 80 degrees. Maybe an isolated storm here and there, but really don't hold your breath. Most of the storm activity is going to be well out towards the west with northeasterly winds. Then as we head through tonight, we're going to see temperatures dropping down into the lower 50s and some mid 50s out towards the west. So nice and cool if you're going to be camping out tonight. And then as we head to tomorrow, temperatures in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees with northeasterly winds, and it'll feel drier too because the dew points are going to be lower. And then as we go into Sunday morning, lows in the 50s, 55 in Parsons, Coffeyville, and Independence, a little bit chillier off to the east in Lamar and Nevada with 53 degrees. And then on Sunday afternoon, partly cloudy skies with highs, again, lower 80s, maybe an isolated storm or two out towards the west with light and variable winds. Then as we go into Monday morning, Memorial Day, winds are going to be turning more out of the south and east, bringing up a little bit of moisture with lows near 60. And then as we head into the forecast, on Monday, we're going to see scattered showers and storms possible. That's when the next chance of rain really starts to increase on Monday afternoon. I don't think everyone's going to see precipitation, only about 20% coverage. And then as we head into Tuesday, a little bit drier, 85. But notice the temperatures are going to start increasing as we head towards the latter part of next week with isolated storm chances. And then look at Friday, 88 degrees, close to 90 with 20% chance of storms. But then more storms come in next weekend, and so we drop temperatures back down into the low 80s. All right, we're going to have more news and weather when we come back, so stay with us.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. About 60 people were awarded their U.S. citizenship during a naturalization ceremony at George Washington Carver National Monument. People from 29 countries attended a naturalization ceremony on Thursday. Several family members attended the event to celebrate the big day for their loved ones. New citizens say the process can take several years. Their advice for people wanting to apply is to never give up. If you're looking for a fun family event this holiday weekend, look no further than the Yates Center Days in Woodson County, Kansas. Yates Center Days has live music, inflatables, kids games, parade, shopping, food vendors, and more. The Woodson County Chamber of Commerce also wants the public to know that everyone is invited to this 3-day festivity. Missouri-Kansas-Texas Railroad ran through Parsons, Kansas in 1870, also known as Katy. It was the beginning of the town. Katy Days in Parsons, Kansas begin in the year 2000. The festival celebrates the community with a weekend full of events, food, and music. Joplin Area Habitat for Humanity celebrated the completion of 4 new homes for families in need. One of those homes uses insulated concrete forms as walls, which help protect it in event of severe weather. Habitat for Humanity partnered with the Joplin Economic Housing Development Initiative to build the homes.
We have showers and thunderstorms in our forecast for Memorial Day, but until then, we're going to see partly cloudy skies with highs around 80 degrees. And then Tuesday, a little bit drier, 85. But notice the temperatures are going to be increasing all the way through the forecast. And then Wednesday and Thursday, showers and storms come back. And then as we head through the extended forecast, better chance of storms, I think, next weekend.
Some people like to fly kites on Memorial Day weekend. Others prefer their flying machines in a different form. This is their day. It's National Paper Airplane Day.
That's right. People have been making them since at least 1909, and some people think that they were doing it as much as 2,000 years ago in China, though you've got to think if they were making paper planes, they probably would have beaten the Wright brothers at making a real one.
The largest paper airplane was created in Germany in 2013. It had a wingspan of almost 60 feet, and Joe Ayoub holds the record for longest distance. A paper airplane flew at 226 feet.
Even though you think you know how to make a paper airplane, there are actually several different ways. Hit the internet and look up a new design to try.
Throw it at your coworkers. They deserve it. If your boss gets mad, that's a good hint. It's time to update your resume.
I got one right here I made just in the commercial break. Let's see. Well,
you can work on that. We'll try that. We'll work out the ways. Throw it, Gabe. Oh, no, okay. We need to work on our paper airplane folding.
Right. All right, thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back, of course, with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.